My sister managed to ruin two families' lives with her selfishness. Not content with just tearing apart my family, my youngest sister has managed to destroy the hearts and souls of two families. Gross vehicular manslaughter while intoxicated, 2 counts of it. She was so wasted that she doesn't even remember leaving the party that night. She was out partying again, no idea why. She failed nearly every single one of her university classes. She's never needed an excuse though. College for her has just been a free pass to party and run up a credit card bill. My parents have sheltered her from the minute she could walk and have never made her face a single consequence for her actions. The last year has shown she has no motivation to work or do anything really, just guilt my parents for money with promises of doing better next time. We knew she was driving while intoxicated. She crashed the car my dad got her into a pole high on MDMA last fall. I told my parents they need to take the car back. I told her she needed to stop driving if she was high or drunk. I begged everybody to do something before she hurt someone. A mother and her child, that's the lives she ended up taking. I've heard she was married and had a young baby at home as well. My sister doesn't understand what she's truly done, that, or she doesn't care. My parents have convinced her that everything will be fine. Again, because they don't understand, or care. They think because she's 19 they won't throw her in prison. Because she's never been caught breaking the law before she'll get a slap on the wrist or something. That she can bat her lashes and fake cry she'll avoid the big girl consequences for the mistake she made. She's looking at 20 years for this. I won't be sticking around to watch this courtroom drama play out. Me and my brother are cutting contact today.
My husband started acting strangely upon my sister's pregnancy announcement. I feel like I'm going crazy here thinking about it. My husband and I were at my parents' house for dinner. All was going well. We were talking, laughing and eating. But as soon as my sister got from her seat and announced her pregnancy, I noticed at first that my husband got quiet, didn't get up to congratulate her since the rest of us did, and just kept staring at her towards her. I'm not entirely sure. I repeatedly asked if he was okay and he mumbled about feeling a bit sick. That was strange because he was perfectly fine that day. Literally, moments later he started throwing up, like I had no idea what was happening with him. He sat on the bathroom floor near the toilet just looking down and refusing to let me help him up to wash his face. I kept asking him if he was okay but no response. My family were worried about him and I had to take him home. I checked his temp and blood pressure but all were normal. Still complete silence on his part. He went to sleep shortly after and in the early morning at 5:30, I woke up to the sound of him crying in the shower. I rushed in asking if he was okay but still no response other than tell me he needed a minute with himself. I almost lost it demanding he explain what was going on and he told me he was just feeling overwhelmed. From what? He's not the type who gets stressed out from work or anything of the sort. This is just so strange and out of character of him. He got dressed and left then refused to even talk about it. I can't help but feel like this reaction was triggered by my sister's pregnancy announcement since this is all started right after she made it. What makes me feel so horrible is the fact that my sister once implied that my husband was her type and hoped to get someone like him. She has a boyfriend by the way. This could be nothing but I can't shake this weird feeling about what happened.
Today I messed up by using Airbnb. So I'm literally sitting in a public parking lot right now with an angry seething wife. We decided to use Airbnb for the first time while on a one-day trip to Kona to check out the volcano. We informed the host that we would be arriving late and he responded that it wouldn't be a problem and gave us the instructions for self-check-in. When we arrived, we followed the instructions and entered in the code to open the door. To our shock, there was someone already sleeping in the room. He was as shocked as us since he was sound asleep when we opened the door. We apologized and quickly closed the door and went to look for the host who we finally found sound asleep as well. We woke him up and he started mumbling excuses about how the other person showed up first so they got the room. He then admitted to us that he had accidentally double-booked the room on another website, and offered us to crash in his living room. When asked why he didn't tell us earlier that he had double-booked, he said half the people don't show up. My wife lost it and starts yelling at the guy. I can tell things are going south and grab her to leave all the while she's yelling. We call Airbnb and get transferred to some help desk in India and the guy asks if we want to cancel the booking. At this point, I'm pissed and asked if he was serious. He says he has to ask and offers to refund the cost of the room and give us a $60 credit for stay somewhere else. We try calling around to the other hotels and they're all booked. This host had 700 reviews and everything looked on the up and up. We're now sleeping in the rental car for the night.
I had a seizure while making love and now I'm pregnant. I have epilepsy and my neurologist said it's abnormal and my seizures are random. My triggers are random and can't be predicted and medications do little to control them. During my grand mal tonic-clonic seizures I am not conscious and I pass out after and it can take up to an hour for me to wake up. My boyfriend and I always use protection but I am not on the pill because I don't like that I'm already taking Keppra, carbamazepine and topiramate as well as antidepressants. Anything else and I will just become one giant pill. So we use external contraceptives, which my boyfriend doesn't like at all. He has been bugging me to get rid of all contraceptives but I told him I'm not interested risking anything. A few months ago I had a seizure while making love and I woke up tucked into bed and I thought he had been really considerate but he had taken the opportunity to finish inside me. I told him off like crazy and didn't speak to him for a couple weeks but ultimately I thought it was only one time. What is the worst that can happen? Skip forward to this week and I remembered I haven't had a period twice in a row. I'm like no this can't be anything bad right, so I go take a test. I'm pregnant. I don't even know what to do. I can't be because my medication says, do not take while pregnant, in bold letters right on the side. A baby, who wants a baby? I don't even want a dog and they are cute. I got an angry text from my child's father's wife about him spending money on us. I met this man at work when I was 21, he was 30, he was my first relationship and I ended up pregnant. We broke up when our son was 2 and he's now 10. He got married 5 years ago and has 2 small children. It might seem weird but he's kept that part of his life very separate from our son and I. I've never met his wife or his other children and neither has my son. My son doesn't spend nights with him. This is something his father and I both agree on. I don't want my son feeling like the odd one out. His dad sees him a couple evenings after work and on the weekend. Usually it's just them but occasionally the 3 of us do something together. He's not on child support but he provides for our son financially. My son gets him less than his other kids so he compensates how he can. My son has a PlayStation 5, a new iPhone, an expensive bike. His dad gives him Roblox money and Lego sets whenever he asks. He reimburses me for buying him nice clothing and shoes. He pays for his school and sports. I get the occasional gift, and it's usually flowers. He gives me more on a special occasion like Christmas or my birthday. Once in a while he'll take me shopping as a thank you for being a good mom. We don't make love, and this is the subject of this text I got from his wife, someone I've never communicated with. What she wrote: I know we don't know each other but I'm tired of keeping my mouth shut. You are a sick woman for doing what you do. He is married. You had your chance and lost him. You're sleeping with a married man. He's not yours just because you had his kid. A kid you used to take his money. My kids are his legitimate children and don't have half of what he buys your son. Why? Because I can't bribe him with lovemaking. You have no right to take gifts from my husband or have him in your house. I watch what he spends so don't ever think I don't know what's going on. You're not half as slick as you think you are. You aren't going to take him from me. I have no idea what even to think. I did not expect this after years of no communication. I'm very uncomfortable.
I don't know what my wife's chest looked like. My wife and I have been together for almost 10 years. We have made love less than 50 times, which we attribute to her hormonal birth control causing low drive. When we do make love, it's always missionary with her motionless on bottom, in the dark, and she keeps her shirt on, pulling it down if I try to pull it up. I've tried to help with her insecurity but she doesn't like it. I've tried asking her what I could do to make it better but she always says she'll think about it and then never tell me. I'd like to think I'm unselfish in bed since there's unreciprocating oral and sometimes she doesn't want to continue on after that. I respect her boundaries and want her to feel comfortable so I have stopped pushing for anything more. When I'm really erotically charged, I will ask if she's down, and she'll usually say yes, but I know she's just saying that and going through the motions so I don't get it somewhere else. Her words, however, I really don't want to make love with someone that doesn't want to, even though I have selfishly given in basically every time. Now for the title explanation. I reluctantly and guiltily started watching P occasionally because I have a fairly high drive, coupled with a few fantasies, and sometimes need a release. One time while I was scrolling for something to watch, I came across a picture ad with a topless woman. Before I scrolled up to see the face, I knew exactly who it was. I don't follow any specific model or P-star, and I've only seen this woman a handful of times. In and of itself, not a big deal, but it got me thinking. I couldn't pick my wife's chest out of a lineup. I have seen my wife exposed, but not voluntarily. My thought quickly led to, I know a P-star's chest better than my wife's, which was disheartening to hear myself think. There's more to a relationship than lovemaking, and I do love her in spite of my unquenched, selfish desires, but physical intimacy is even more important to me than I had realized before we got married. We'll be fine, as we've been through worse, but I wanted to get this off my chest.
I delivered my friend's fetus. My friend took a pill to terminate her pregnancy that she thought was 3 months along. She started getting sick and having contractions that we didn't know were actually contractions. After hours of her being sick in and out of excruciating pain, she wobbles to the toilet and screams, "My baby, my baby." We rush into the room and there it is, a small fetus attached to her. Nobody could do it. I stepped up and did it. I first reached in and coddled the fetus with my hand and cut its navel and removed it from the umbilical cord. I removed it out of the toilet. I wrapped it in a towel. I cut my friend's umbilical cord and cleaned her off and she seems to be okay now. I don't know how to feel. I'm glad I knew what to do, by the power of whatever is vested inside of me. They all looked at me asking me how I did it and how I was able to be so calm. I just did it. She gave birth to a miscarried fetus, but her body contracted it and she had stimulated contractions due to the medication, but the fetus had distinguished private area, arms, legs, a head, small bones, a rib cage, eyes, fingers, it was all there. It fit in my hand. It was like a small doll. The fetus was male. This was the mother's last option. We live in Louisiana. How can I help my friend? How do we all move forward? Please guide me.
I've been reverse pickpocketing my parents for years, and I think I'm addicted to it. When I was younger, I noticed how excited my mother would get over finding money on the ground or in the wash, even if it was only $1. Once I was a bit older and had a job, I realized that I had money I could spend however I wanted. My parents didn't really like receiving random gifts when it wasn't a holiday or birthday, so I started sneaking 1s and 5s into their wallets, bags, and even coat pockets. It made me so happy to see how excited my mom would get even though it wasn't much money, and sometimes my dad would bring home candy with the surprise, extra money. I'm an adult now and still live with my parents. They let me live with them super cheap even though money has been a little tight the last few years. They don't like it when I just give them money to help, even if they pay me back. I've started reverse pickpocketing 10s and 20s. My mom gets especially excited and tells me all about the money she found. My dad doesn't vocalize that he found it. He just brings home ice cream or fast food for the family. The problem is, I can't stop. It's not putting me at a detriment because they don't charge much for rent, but I'm worried I'll get caught soon. I'll probably stop once our financial situation is a bit better in a year or so. I just absolutely love the smile it brings to my mother's face, and the smile my dad has when he surprises us with a special treat. It's worth the $20 to $30 every paycheck. I don't do it too often, but it's been going on for so long I think I'm addicted to it.
My boyfriend told me about the one that got away, and I don't know what to do. I've been with my boyfriend for 9 months. We've had a few rocky patches, mostly due to me being unable to communicate my feelings, which I'm working through with a psychologist. Otherwise we are very much in love, and I have never known a man to be so expressive about how he feels. Last night he had a few drinks with his friend while I was out for dinner. When I got home, he was a bit tipsy but not drunk. He gets very emotional when he drinks and tends to confess a lot of things during these moments. I have no idea why this even came up, but he decided to tell me about his one that got away, his girlfriend from a few years ago who moved overseas and who he lost touch with. He has never mentioned her before. I thought I knew about all his exes. He told me he thought they would be together forever and that she was as close to a soulmate as he'd ever had. Thank God it was pitch black so he couldn't see me holding back sobs. He said this is normal for guys and that most guys have one that got away. Honestly, I don't think that's true, and it made me feel so insecure. The worst part is apparently she has moved back to our city. He only knows this because he saw her while we were out on a date. This made me feel sick. Apparently she has a boyfriend, and the way he said it made it sound like that was the only thing stopping him from going after her. He quickly turned the conversation to something else before I could respond, and I didn't bring it up again. I have been extremely forgiving and understanding about major things in his past, but honestly this is something I don't know if I can get over. I know I can't change the past, but clearly it's not in the past if he's bringing her up completely out of the blue and she now lives in our city again. I love him so much and I know he loves me, but this has just completely shattered me. While I don't think it's worth breaking up over, I'm looking for advice about how I should handle it. Bring it up or forget about it?
I found out my girlfriend is the biggest hypocrite ever. So we've been dating for almost 10 years. I'm 27 male, she's 25 female. In our relationship I've had problems with watching hentai and downloading adult videos. Following these stars' social media pages, she confronted me and I just remember seeing her crying. I deleted everything and haven't looked back since. Fast forward 6 years, and she's on her phone constantly, texting, smiling. I'll be honest, I thought the worst, and thought she was cheating on me. She stopped paying attention to me, started declining my advances, and overall didn't show any interest in me. In a form of desperation, I looked through her phone, and saw she was using those AI chats to text AI versions of her favorite YouTubers. I'm talking in-depth romance, intimacy, and vague cuckoldery style porn. I couldn't watch hentai. Heck, I don't even have an interest in it anymore. But the fact she could happily fantasize and write out her literally cheating on me with Markiplier, I think what hurt more was the sheer amount of her typing about how wrong it felt to get railed by YouTubers while still dating me. This AI crap is so stupid. I want to break up with her. God, I don't want to be with her anymore. But the fact it's 10 years down the drain, the chat seems so real. When she wasn't role-playing, she was genuinely talking all lovey-dovey to someone who wasn't me. I'm a mess right now.